Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I will be reading Muichiro Listener by me. So, let's get into it. Valentine's Day had never been something that Muichiro cared about. It was just another day, another sunrise and another sunset. Until you came along. Now as he stood outside your home, a small box tucked into his hawaii, he found himself feeling something strange. Not quite nervous, but aware. Aware of the way his heartbeat wasn't steady, how the cold air didn't feel as sharp as usual, and how the thought of seeing your face made something unfamiliar stir in his chest. He sighed, shifting his weight. Before he could answer the many questions in his head, the door slid open. "Mitra?" you asked, your voice soft, familiar, and you looked at him in surprise. His steel eyes flicked to you, taking in the way you blinked at him in surprise, your hair still slightly messy from sleep. You hadn't been expecting him this early, had you? "Happy Valentine's," he said, monotone as always, but there was an intentionality behind it. And that was something that made you happy. You had learned not to read his actions by tone from now. You know that sometimes he can mean something deeper, and he just can't show it. You tilted your head, a slow smile spreading across your lips. You remembered? Muichiro blinked. "Of course I would." You laughed lightly. "I wasn't sure you would. I mean, you never seemed interested in things like this." "I wasn't," he admitted. Then, after a pause, "But you like it." Your heart skipped a beat. "So I thought I would try." His words were simple, but coming from Muichiro, they meant everything. You stepped aside, gesturing for him to come in. "You should have told me you were coming this early. I would have prepared something. Also, don't mind the mess." Muichiro stepped inside, setting his small box carefully on the table. "I don't mind." He chuckled. "Of course you don't." He watched as you moved around the room, tidying up absent-mindedly. "Are you busy today?" He shook your head. "Not really. I was going to train a bit. But other than that, there is really nothing special." Muichiro frowned slightly. "Skipping training for Valentine's?" He smirked. "And what if I am?" He crossed his arms, shaking his head. "A bit predictable of you." You rolled your eyes, but then he stepped closer. "I suppose we could spend the day together then." Your eyes widened at that. He was not usually like this, but you could tell that he was trying to be careful, trying to enjoy this day with you, because he knew how much you cared, and that was already melting your heart. And before you could say anything, he reached into his hawaii and pulled out the small box. "Here." You stared at it. "What's this?" "A gift?" You hesitated, then carefully took the box from his hands, and as you lifted the lid, your breath caught. Inside was a delicate bracelet, handcrafted with small beads of dark obsidian and soft blue jade. Simple, yet undeniably beautiful. You looked up at him, your eyes wide. "Muichiro, this is—" "Do you like it?" he interrupted, watching you intently. You swallowed, running your fingers over the smooth stones. "I love it." Something seemed to soften in his gaze. "Good. I'm glad." You shook your head, still in awe. "Did you make this?" He nodded slightly. "I had some help." He smiled, carefully slipping the bracelet onto your wrist. It's perfect, Muichiro. Really. He watched as you admired the bracelet, something unreadable flickering over his face. It reminded me of you. Your heart clenched, and he reached for his hand, fingers curling around his. Thank you. He exhaled, long and slow, before squeezing your hand lightly. You're welcome. For Muichiro, words weren't always easy. But today, he let his actions speak for him. He had never been the type of guy to put much thought into things like gifts or holidays. But this, every part of it was intentional. Everything was thought out. And now you felt bad, because, in light of how he usually reacts to holidays, you decided that maybe you would just ignore it and not give him anything. Not as a way to spite him, or as a way to show that he didn't care. You just knew that he didn't care enough, so you decided you didn't want to make it a big deal. There were other days to show your care, and if this was not something of an event for him, then you wouldn't have to consider it so. But there he was, adjusting to make you happy. I don't have anything for you. Muichiro blinked, tilting his head slightly. I didn't expect anything. You sighed. Still, I feel bad. You did something so thoughtful and Before you could finish, he gently tugged on your hand, pulling you closer. You don't need to give me anything. Nothing at all? He hummed, considering. Maybe one thing. You waited, watching as his teal eyes flickered to your lips, then back to your eyes, and then your breath hitched. And you nodded. I can give you that. And so you leaned in, pressing a soft kiss to his lips as you closed his eyes. Today, for once, Waiter didn't think Valentine's Day was such a waste of time after all. And you were going to savor every single minute of it, and give him as many gifts as you could.